Everybody excuse this. I'm an addict called JJ. I've been clean since May 28, 2010. I'll be picking up 2 years here in about 7 days. And I can say I'm an addict today. You know, when Fred asked me to do this, I got to tell you, man, I'm real honored and I'm real grateful that I get the opportunity to be of service. And you know, I picked up the pamphlet because I'm not a big IP guy. I'm really not. You know, I get into the literature and I do my thing with that. But as far as the IPs, I never was real big on that, you know. And I broke this IP open and it's got these 29 questions. Right? 29 questions and I can only answer no to 3 of them. I might be an addict. You know, I can remember just last week talking to another addict, and we were talking about times past, and I said we were sharing about some things that had happened when we were using, and I said, you know, that was back before it became a problem. You know, and when he asked me to do this, I started thinking back on the times when I wondered if I was an addict or not. And what came to me was this. There was never a time when it wasn't a problem. I just couldn't see it. My sophomore year in high school, I was a pitcher for my high school team. I played all 3 sports. I was a varsity player as a sophomore. And I was recruited by the Houston Astros to pitch for one of their farm teams. My parents wouldn't allow me to do it because they wanted me to finish school. And that summer, between sophomore and junior year, I started experimenting. And in junior year, not only did my class attendance drop, my grades drop, but for the very first time in my athletic career, I got cut from a team. And I can look back on that and I thought it was about my parents, and it was about the teachers, and it was about my coaches, and it was about everybody else. But it wasn't about me, and it sure wasn't about the dough. Because see, between those times, I grew from that little kid that everybody used to beat up and chase home from school into this guy now that all them girls that used to make fun of me were calling me on the phone and shit. And I thought, wow, you know, this stuff works pretty good. It couldn't be the dope. You know, and there were so many instances coming up. I was in the Navy. Again, an athlete. I played ball on several fleet championship teams. But as my youth started to progress, I could show up for practice, but 6:50 in the morning to show up for muster was a little bit early for my taste. Consequently, the Navy felt like I was a little bit too lax for theirs. And they invited me to find another career. And so the next part of this little story I'm not going to share because I've shared it before and I'm still taking heat over it. But what has happened is I left there and I went into the club business. And I was a DJ in topless bars for 12 years. Yeah. I thought I recognized you. At least she didn't say I owed her money. But at that time, man, you know, I'm working in nightclubs. Everybody around me is drinking and doing their thing. I'm working with all these females. I'm riding a Harley and I'm leaving on a beach house in Padre Island. Where is the problem? I don't have a problem. You got a problem. Your life is boring. See, and this kept progressing. But see, what was happening is that I started to pick up little things that I wasn't taking care of. I didn't get to see my parents. I didn't get to see my brothers and sisters. I started to get arrested. I got a DWI in 1986. And what had happened was the police officer pulled me over, and I pulled over on the freeway, right? And he comes up to the window, and he says, "Mr. Herrera, can you step out of the car?" And he opened the door. But what he didn't know is I was using that armrest to hold myself up. So when he pulled the door open, I fell my ass out on the highway. But I still couldn't see I was an addict. You know, this story can go on and on and on and on, and I'm sure everybody else in here can identify or relate at one point or another. At one point, later on, I was in the Texas Department of Corrections at the Cofield Unit. And I gotta be honest with you, I was going to NA meetings at that point because it was air conditioned. Okay, if you've ever been to TDC, nothing on the unit is AC except the chapel and the schoolhouse. And so they were having the NA meetings at the schoolhouse, and guess where JJ was? But they brought this guy in there, man, and they brought him in every Tuesday night, and he's shackled up, and they keep him separated from all the rest of us, man. And he's sitting down there, and this dude's in there for aggravated life. You know, and I got the opportunity to talk to him. And I asked him, "Dude, why do you do this? I mean, other than the AC. Because you're not going to get parole. I mean, it is what it is." And the guy told me, "I feel more free sitting in this prison with chains on my hands than I did out there in the world in here." And that stuck with me. And he also told me, "You're sitting here with all that white gear on, with somebody else's boxers on. What part of unmanageable do you not get?" And that stuck with me, man. You know, I got out and I've been to rehabs. Oh, God, have I been to rehabs. The last time I counted, there was 9. I've been to the local one, and I've been to different ones all over the country, and it was always when it got so heated that I was fixing to go to prison, or the old lady was fixing to kick me out, or whatever the case was, I could take me a 30-day vacation, slide on into the local treatment center and get the heat off for a minute and figure out what the hell I was going to do. I still could not admit that I was an addict. I could say it to you, and I couldn't believe it here. I couldn't accept the fact that I was an addict. Now, you know, we have a reading that we start every meeting that talks about that, where it talks about we place their use, meaning drugs, ahead of the welfare of our wives, our husbands, and our children. Well, you know what? They were long gone. It's amazing what will fit the spoon. And you know, what I'm going to tell you is this. I don't care if you're here because you got to get a paper signed. I don't care if you're here because you're in a treatment center. I don't care if you're here if you're just trying to duck your old lady. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. Because see, I've been there. And I heard what I needed to hear. So when I did get serious and when I did want to do something different, I knew where to come. So keep coming back, no matter what reason you're here. You know, what I know today And guys, I've been in and out of these doors. I done picked up so many of them white key tags I could build a little white meeting building. What I'm going to tell you is this. What I know today is that I can question whether I'm an addict or not at 2 years clean. And it doesn't take me very long to be able to recognize it. Because, see, I don't fix with drugs today. I fix with people. I fix with sex. I fix with money. I fix with computers, electronics, anything that will make me feel different about me or take my mind off of what's going on around me. See, because one more time, and I say this all the time, it is not about the dope. It's about the disease of addiction. And you can take away the dope and still be running around with untreated addiction. Break it down. See, and you know, this lady's sitting in here, and I want to share this, and I went to St. Pete. I got out, was going to do right, man. I had the Bible thing going on, and I had the NA thing going on, and man, I was going to do it. 1 year later, I was sitting in another St. Pete, and there was a lady from this very group that just happened to be a counselor there. And I walked in, and I saw her, we met eyes, and dude, I was so ashamed and so embarrassed because I had come in this room and talked all that old good shit. And then I went back out there and did that deal again. And it took me a long time to come back to this room for that very reason. You know, I thought people would judge me. I thought people would like not accept me, and oh, here comes this motherfucker again. And you know what I found is that those were the very people who hugged my neck and told me, you know what, it don't matter, keep coming back. And so if you don't hear anything else tonight, out of everything everybody shares in here, please keep coming back. Yeah. You know, I used to sit in the back of the room and I'd think, man, them people are so full of it. I know they're beautiful. And then I'd go sit out in the parking lot and I'd spark me one up and drink some of that liquid dope and think, man, them people are fucked up. That's as honest as I can be with you. You know, today what I know is that for me, this is strictly for me, I have found what I was always looking for, running around doing that dope and trying to be that person that I wasn't, right here in these rooms. Love, acceptance, responsibility, accountability. You know, nobody wants to cop to it, but everybody wants to be responsible. Everybody wants to be looked up to and to be thought well of, and we're running around, and I don't know if you ever did this. I know I'm the only addict in the room. But, you know, I don't know if you ever did this or not, but I would always run around when I was trying to use with people that were worse than me. So at least I could look at them and go, well, at least I ain't that bad. The bottom line is that I ran out of people to point at. You know, and it comes down to this. I can't tell you you're an addict. Only you can decide that. But chances are, folks, if you wander through this door, you know, it is what it is. You know, most of us weren't skipping down the sidewalk with our BMWs and decided to stop in and see what was going on in NA. Yeah.